We'll change it live. It's not centered. I'll fix it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Row with the Behind the Rolls. I am M9 slash Vorn, and with me we have our wonderful DM, Light, who is, our DM, the one that makes our lives fun, but also miserable sometimes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So,
Hello.
hi. We missed, this is, we're going to do two episodes or 2 weeks today
Mhm.
because I was out of town and wedding stuff, wedding prep. Not myself, my cousin. And there was a lot of stuff going on, but I didn't want the group to miss the sessions and stuff like that. So I played remote, and that was very interesting for me. Very stressful experience. But I feel like it also went better than yesterday's session did. Because we
Oh
had some
yeah,
technical difficulties.
I wonder if it's fixed today, but you could check that out later. That's interesting too. Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll get back in the swing of things. So Miss Light, do you want to get us started? Episode 15, let's start. Episode 15, which was last Sunday, not this Sunday that just passed. The one before.
Mhm.
We'll start there.
Yes. Yes. We'll start there. Uh well, to be honest, like it was more talking, more in-depth talking. There's some arguments, there's a bunch of questions. Um a lot of people I think just had doubt, um concern. I guess all the emotions,
Yeah, and
basically.
I think that's kind of why it was probably better to do these two episodes together anyway, because
Mhm.
they they almost felt like a part one and part two of,
Mhm.
like, you could either think of it like a season finale or because shit is really going to escalate after yesterday's episode.
Yes.
And we went through a lot of like the same conversations and the same scenarios in episode 15 and 16 because our group is
Mhm.
kind of divided in what is actually going on. And I'm not sure if we covered it in the last recap, but the captain has decided to go into war with the Red Hand,
Mhm.
um, to be proactive because she feels like they're going to come after her regardless, and it will be better to have the upper hand by acting first. And
Yes.
which I think is like I think it's a good idea. It's something that, like, for example, Victor and Vorn have talked about before in other matters. It's like, let's be proactive. But curiously enough, for this, Vorn and Victor are like, wait a minute, is this a good idea? Um, and everyone else, like, the roles have completely flipped.
Mhm. I think it's also, if you think about it, I mean, this is talking about episode 15. Um, basically the scenario was, so like part of 14 at the end of the episode, um, we witnessed the Red Hand upon the beach because they were being chased by the Red Hand. And you got to think about the Red Hands like pirates, so like different kind of clothing, like leathers, whatever they have.
Mm-hmm.
But one person that stood out was wearing just all in white and just but with a red hand upon its chest. And you can't see his face. It's like it's just very dark. And at that point, she was like, "It looks like I'm going to go into war." You know, that's her. That was her point in everything. And then when they left the island, basically summoning a portal, going through, and at the end of the portal was the Crescent Isles, which is where the Voodoo Queen lives and the people that live there. And so they kind of got like a respite, uh, get their wounds clean, checked, and everything. And that's where the questions started forming.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, between Victor and Voron, it was a little aggressive. Which is understandable. It's but the one thing is from the captain's point of view is if you guys want, I'll take you home. You
Right.
don't need to.
Yeah, the
And
captain has never really asked for a favor, or has asked has made it known that she definitely needs us or wants us there. It's more of the opportunity to help if we wish to. So
Mhm.
that did put a lot of the responsibility on our own shoulders of what is it that we do and what is it that how do we handle this. And the group was pretty divided by it.
Mhm. It was.
And yeah, it got a little intense, and I think
Mm.
it got intense rightfully so. Because I don't necessarily think, even like on a speaking as Vorin or speaking as M9, I don't think either side is wrong. I think I like both sides are just looking at two different sides of the coin.
Mhm.
But it's the same coin.
Yeah.
And some of us, for example, I think when I speak as Vorn, I speak of it as my own experience. Vorn has been an assassin before. He's been a thief. He's been a gun for hire. He's been whatever, a mercenary whenever he's had to be. The
Mhm.
the difference is that he knows what he's getting into whenever he's doing that type of work.
Mhm.
He does his research, he gets information, and he knows. And I think that as Vorin, that's the part that freaks him out the most. And as M9 over the table, if I think that if Victor wasn't feeling the same way, I think Vorin would have a better time just kind of dismissing it and going along with the group. But the
Mhm.
fact that there is someone that is also sharing the same sentiment and also has the same hesitation, then it makes it so that he feels validated in his opinion. And but yeah, it got pretty intense with between the group. Sin, hello. Speaking of, um,
Mhm.
but it was also very interesting to see the different points of views, and I think that Victor agrees to the point that he doesn't like being on a back foot, like what he said before, and going to like to a possible death scenario, a perma scenario, um, and not
TKP.
yeah, and
Oh
not
wait, no.
having the full information, right? Like, and that's fucking
Mhm.
frightening. Especially, I like to think of it out of character for Victor. I like to think of it as Victor has always had some sort of control over his life because of being a lord and the type of life he has lived thus far. Learning,
Mhm.
learning, training, everything has been um natural to him, and he's never stepped out of his comfort zone. And you could correct me if you want. He's never stepped out of his comfort zone as much as he has been forced to recently. um and I think that drives a lot of that doubt for him, and I think the same goes for Warren, to be honest. Very accurate. but uh but then we got something really interesting happen, which the after this debate and after this back and forth, I think we both got a bit frustrated. So we're like, we're gonna go talk to the Voodoo Queen, because more than individual stuff, she has an ability to see things beyond specific issues, right?
Mhm.
So it's like, if anybody's going to tell us one thing or another, it would be her. But the way Warren saw it was like, you know what, fuck it. Like it looks like we're going to do this fight regardless. So I might as well go find out something that's been fucking killing me. And it was about the lady in the moon. So he just sits down with Victor and he's like, who is she? Just fucking tell me who she is. Like
Yeah.
I don't think he understands the scope of the voodoo queen's powers. He thought that she would just be able to spell it out for him, and that's not exactly how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And but then he gets hit with a vision and he sees her, um and he actually ends up saying her name, which is Sage. And but he says it in like as a don't go, like she's about to he's about to lose again, and he doesn't know what the fuck to do because he has no idea who this person is. Chasing after that vision, like an episode or two ago, he almost died. Um and this is something that just keeps haunting him. And then Victor decided to ask more about the objective, right? About the issue at hand. It was less of a selfish ask than Voren's. But do
No,
you?
he asked. He asked who. No, he asked about the voodoo queen. Or not voodoo queen. He asked about the captain
I mean, yeah,
and
no,
what.
but it's true. But
Yeah.
I think that was knowledge that would have benefited us all. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
not like Voren, hey, who's this lady I see in my dreams. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about that interaction with the Voodoo Queen and Victor?
Yeah, Victor asks, what was he asked? He said something like, what is she? Who is she? What's her power and stuff? And basically the cards didn't reveal anything. Um, and it just, even like from the Voodoo Queen's point of view, was kind of like, wait a second. Hmm. Well, the card's not going to say anything then. But then she got something going on and she got pissed off. So,
Yeah, so she realized that it was more so, well, like not just that the cards weren't showing anything, but that it was being blocked,
mhm.
and that pissed her off, and that scared us all. she she storms out, and um everyone starts to panic a bit, including the spirits. So the
Mhm.
group kind of gathers. And where was it that we headed off to, that we followed her? Did she go straight to?
Y Yeah, she went straight to the captain, like, she, like, power walked times 10.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and basically, it's like anybody who she passed, there was, like, that chill, like, up and down your spine kinda thing, and it it's like you almost kind of like, if you ever been in a room and all of a sudden you just get that shiver up down your back and it's just like, it's like cold,
Mm-hmm.
but times 10. It's like almost like a fear, coming to you. And she was pissed. And even like, the people that live on the island, they kind of like slowly kind of went into their houses because that's a lot. That's a they don't see that too much from her. And yeah, so eventually like everybody started following and um end up, you know, she started talking to the captain, and Euphemia was the one that got tried to get closer, but a spirit stopped her. And basically it's like, "Don't sneak around." You know? So she showed herself and the spirit did move to the side. And then, she just heard the conversation that, um, you know, "Something's blocking me and I'm gonna be there," kinda thing. "I'm going to join you." on this.
It was the demigod that blocked the card for the captain, right? I think that that's what's being assumed, right? Like
Mhm.
we're
Yeah.
she's assuming that, we're assuming that, but I don't think that I don't think that it was ever stated clearly.
Correct.
Um, because it kind of makes sense, right? Like who else would be doing it? So I think that that's her assumption, and then that's kind of what we're following. Because it just kind of makes sense, but we might be wrong. Um, we also don't like know anything about the so-called elemental queen, and we don't know what the fuck she's doing, and we don't know who she's working for or what. So it's things that we either have to just kind of assume are tied together or just wait until they come back up.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a bunch of questions and people don't ask it, or they might forget it, and it's fine because that's how every game is too. Because
Hmm.
I always like, when I was a player, I used to forget, and then later I was like, oh my gosh, hey, about 2 weeks ago this happened, So there's always time. That's why I always give you guys that opportunity. Like,
Hmm.
anybody want to do anything? But of course, it's like it's one of those things. You forget, then you remember. So there's
Yeah.
still opportunity to ask.
And so Sin in the chat says like question is why, and I think that that was Warren's big thing. That was his big argument. It's like we should be allowed to ask why, and it shouldn't bother anybody, especially if our lives are on the line. I should be allowed to ask why, um,
Hmm.
because why is such an important question. For, like when it comes to that specific thing, why would the demigod block any information about the captain? Why would a demigod be bothered with the voodoo queen at all? If not, maybe he saw her as a threat as well, um, or something that could give us an advantage. So a lot of questions come down to why. Um,
Hmm.
and I know that like Sin's character Victor and my character Vorin, we come off as abrasive a lot of the time. But if not us, who is going to ask those questions? Like they need to get asked, even if they aren't answered. They're at least put on the table.
And it's true.
Um, and so then that whole thing happened with her saying that she's down. So like the voodoo queen is pissed that this is affecting her. Somebody that's for the most part neutral, right?
Yes.
Because there is some sort of, I guess, I'm not sure if it's like an agreement or like an unspoken rule that people of that stature don't get involved.
Mm-mm. That's why I would say like nobody has heard of the Voodoo Queen. And if there has been heard, then she's basically like a ghost in the wind
Mm,
or is worn because um she and there's been a couple times I've said it, and this is over the table. Um, she doesn't say gods, she says loas. And none of you have asked about that, which is fine. But that's a different thing, right? And but you guys are witnesses. And if sometime down the line somebody might, who knows, might mention a voodoo queen, it's like, hey, you guys heard about it. But
yeah, she's kind of
yeah,
like a
she's
myth at this point, or like
Mhm.
a legend.
Yeah, yeah, because their island forever moves. So,
Yeah, there's like, especially when it comes to like pirate lore or or things like that. There's so many stories that are just left in the wind, and it's like
Mhm.
it can either be a story or it can be true. You don't know until you know.
Mhm.
But I think it's kind of cool.
Exactly.
I love the tie-in in the story with like pirate stuff. I think it's really cool.
Mhm.
Um, and it opens up a lot of possibilities because there can be a lot of tie-ins when you think about pirates. There's a lot of corruption which can tie off to like government stuff. It could tie off to thieves, to criminals, to even religion. Um,
Mhm.
and it's there's a lot of possibilities for stories, which is cool.
Exactly.
So after that, I guess we all decided to. I guess it was never spoken, but Victor and Warren are like, I mean, we're still gonna do whatever the group is gonna do, even if we're not happy about it. Um,
Mhm.
but we decided to at least give it until we spoke or we had the conversation with the pirate lords,
Yes.
which happened. I'm not sure if it was the day after or maybe a couple of days or what.
Basically, yeah, it was like a 3-day trip to get there. So this actually goes into the 16th episode. So
Correct.
yesterday. Yes. So, yeah, so you guys had 3 days, to talk to whatever and everything. Victor actually was being positive. He woke up positive.
He was
He had a
trying.
conversation. Yes, he had a conversation with his book, which oddly enough, the book was positive. Um, not really sassy.
I gotta be honest, that
Uh,
creeped me out a little bit.
what?
I'm like, there's something so wrong about this book trying to be positive. It it's just like I don't
I mean, he
like it.
didn't question it.
Yeah, I'm like I don't
Nobody else
like
was
it.
there. You know? Even after that, I was chuckling to myself. I was just like, "Huh, well, that book kinda went somewhere else, I guess."
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, what the
Mm,
fuck is up her sleeve? And I'm like, nope. But that was pretty funny, and I think it was a couple of quiet days for everyone. I guess given the drama and the arguments. Um,
mhm. Yeah, I think it's been quiet days. You guys made a plan, of what if, just in case, all the scenarios, which is a good, um, and you all agree. It was weird because I felt like you guys were agreeing and disagreeing, but then you went back to agreeing. It's like, we'll fall back to the ship. Well, people, the ship might be in danger, and then you all end up saying, okay, yeah, we need to go back to the ship.
mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it was a little weird conversation, a bit back and forth, but I think ultimately it was a very important conversation. I think we got to learn a little bit about each other, and almost like, for example, I as Warren and Sin, feel free to fill in. Um, I felt a lot more comfortable with what I would do if I was to get caught or somebody else was to get caught. If I was able to hide and the rest of the group didn't make it, then in the beginning it felt like we didn't know anything that we were getting into, and we also didn't have we weren't asking any questions as to what we were gonna do. But then towards the end, it was like it almost felt like there was at least a positive outcome in the conversation that we're like, okay, well, this kind of sounds like a half-ass plan, but it's at least a plan. um,
Mhm.
Everyone has whatever they're good at. Everyone fucking stay alive. That's the most important thing. And then we at least it was something, right? Um, and then we'll try to make it back to the ship, but making it back to the ship isn't step one. that's not that's definitely not that easy. Um and at least we all talked it out and we kind of discussed things and talked about hiding places and this and that. So it was good.
Mhm.
And so we make it we go in, we and you're gonna have to maybe recap a bit on the seven pirate lords. But
Mhm.
but we go in, we finally make it to this place, which I mean is if you could imagine a, a place that's meant for like neutral grounds for pirates, that's exactly what I was imagining. Um, I think it's going to take a catastrophe before which yeah. Yeah. Victor's gonna have to die, I think. I'm kidding. Uh,
Oh, no.
no, no. But this place supposedly is neutral, no fighting within this place, right?
Right.
But that's kind of more like an unspoken agreement. Like if some shit happens, some shit will probably happen, right?
I mean, it's like it is a pirate's code.
Hmm.
Um, you know, it's what she said, there's no fighting, there's no anything. If you have to do something, then you go out into the
Into the
waters.
seas, yeah.
But yeah. But here is neutral. And there was a conversation between Glenn and Magpie, and she asked, some good questions. And she also asked like if they sell anything, and he warned, it's like, you better have somebody who can barter because they're gonna try to sell you a shirt for 5 gold. So, um, so yeah, I mean, they're pirates, they have to kinda still be stingy and try to
Yeah,
sell
yeah, I mean it makes sense.
a bucket for 10 gold, so yeah.
And they're all gonna be trying to rip each other off, so it's like
Oh, yeah.
it definitely makes
Yeah.
sense. Um, so the captain leads the group into this, I guess, hall or whatever it was.
Mhm,
Um, and there we are faced with the seven lords, pirate lords of the seas.
mhm.
Do you want to tell us a bit about them?
Yeah. Fun fact, I'm not telling you the names because nobody asked. But, the first one was a tiefling, and he is a red tiefling.
Papa?
Uh, Papa. Papa!
Papa.
And, so behind him, you gotta think, like, everybody's sitting down, and then there's these sails or their, basically their colors that represent. I don't know if I actually mentioned there was other sails, but they're small, like small banners, so they would've been different, throughout the room too. But these were, like, the main focus. So behind him, the colors are black and red, so his symbol was a circle with 3 lines. Next to him was a, bronze, dragonborn. His colors are the colors represent, or it's a bronze and white, so his symbol is a dragon wing outlined in white. Um, Next to him, and kinda like almost slightly larger chair are, there's 2 women. One looks human, the other one looks, like a half orc, and, their colors are black and white, and their symbol is a skull with octopus wrapping around it. Um, in the middle, there was a painting of an older woman, um, who's you could definitely see, like, you would almost guess that she wasn't a pirate because of the colorful clothing she had. There was like a hat. She had these beautiful colored feathers, and on the painting on her shoulder was a hummingbird. And her colors, or that represents many colors, and the symbol is a hummingbird. So you can almost think, almost like a rainbow, but you know, more um, more like blended to each other. Um, and next to the painting, or behind actually, you would see a female just kind of behind the chair representing also same thing. She has wearing leather. She has feathers on her shoulders. She has and also a hummingbird. Um, but sitting next to there on going on the right, you see this young woman. Um, the colors are blue and white, and you see the symbol of a blue phoenix outlined in white. Next to her, you see a man who has very pale skin and red eyes, and that caught the attention of Victor. And especially what he has as a symbol, which his colors are red and gold, and the symbol itself is a red rose with a drop of blood and a moon behind it. That actually represents the goddess Lilith, who is the queen or the goddess of vampires. And next to him is a Goliath who has more of like a bluish tone to his skin. His colors are gold and bronze, and his symbol is a mug of ale with a dagger. And those are basically the 7.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of cool. There was actually one of my favorite things about like Pirates of the Caribbean was like meeting um that meeting with between all the like fucked up people. And
Yeah.
I think it's really cool to have that because then it introduces a lot of possibility for betrayal or like
Mhm.
later on after without getting too far ahead, Victor has a conversation with one of them. Um
Mhm.
and tries to find common footing. And I think it's kind of cool because it, like I said, it introduces so many possibilities. So the conversation starts with the captain,
Mhm.
and she basically just kind of lays it out there what her intentions are and why. And uh, naturally, there was hesitation from the pirate lords because I don't know. The way that I see pirates is like, why? How does this benefit me? Why the fuck would I help you? Um,
Mhm.
but I think a lot of them, well, or some at least, see the benefit in getting rid of the red hand. I think that's probably number one for most of them. Um, and others saw, and it was we kind of made we made fun of the fact that was that like the vampire and the tiefling were hesitant about it, and it was like our counter characters. Um,
Which I did not realize
she didn't do on
that.
purpose, but it just made sense.
No.
Um,
It's too good though.
yeah, it's freaking great. But the tiefling was like, I don't think no, I think we're good. And then the vampire as well was kind of like um it's good to ask questions, and I'm glad that you kind of did it in this way because it felt pretty immersive in the way that you can't get a bunch of people in one room and they're just gonna be like, yeah, thumbs up. Like,
Mhm.
no, everybody has different personalities and different type of thoughts and ways of doing things that it's just not gonna work, especially people like this that are so headstrong.
Yes, it's and from a DEM point of view, it's hard to do multiple characters,
Hmm.
but, with different voices and trying to sound a little different, and yeah, I could do different voices, but there's times I forget what voice I use because
For
it
sure.
is what it is. But each of them had, their case or what they talked about, uh, you know, the the person with the portrait, the one the person behind her was basically a daughter, the portrait, which she told a little story that, yeah, her mother died by the Red Hand. And then she basically kind of pointed to the other woman, the one who represents the Blue Phoenix, saying that, well, your mother died. And what better way to get revenge? Because it's very hard, in which they have stated, it's hard to pinpoint where the Red Hand is, where they live, where they really do, work at, which in a way, you guys also learn that some of them are actually, they do live on land, more inland. So you got Red Hand inlands, and then you got Red Hand out in sea. So,
Mm-hmm.
so each of them had their different points of view, their different thoughts. Goliath is like, I don't care, I'll fight, because that's how Goliaths are.
Right.
And then you had the two women. It's like, well, the half orc says, well, I just follow her. So, they each have their personality and persona, and it's who knows, maybe down the line, everybody, might get to know them or not. So
Yeah. Kill him Nun's character. I mean, we're on our way. um,
oh no.
you mean take 3 of Kill Him Nine's character?
Oh yeah, I see. Third time's a charm, but it didn't happen.
Third time's the charm, yeah. And every time's just gotten a little bit closer.
Look, Venus Flytrap was Chef Kiss. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was great. All because
Anyways.
I failed a perception check. I fucking deserve that.
That was a couple episodes ago. Anyways.
Yeah. But yeah, so then we had this conversation. We actually kind of had a bit of an intermission. We broke off after we discussed things.
Mhm.
To allow the group to kind of deliberate a little bit, which was good. And then it still kind of came up again, which was I don't know if this is a good thing. Like Victor and Vaughn are still like, I don't know. We're fighting a fucking demigod. And I think there is a lot of unknown to that yet. Still. And it leaves a lot of room for fear, and it leaves a lot of room for doubt. But there's also like one thing that I was kind of seeing in character and out of character as well was like what else can we do? You know?
Mhm.
I'm not sure that there is a better play unless we do try to get some knowledge, which is what Vorn would do naturally. We try to get a bit of knowledge, but there's nothing stopping us from doing that anyway. Like on the way to fight these people or while we're preparing, there's nothing that's stopping us from reaching out to whatever deity or whatever the fuck to just try to ask questions. And maybe even get an advantage or two. And if that doesn't help, then we're right back to where we started. Like we're not losing anything.
Mhm. And that's true, but nobody has done it yet.
Nobody has done it yet. But we
Yeah.
do know that we have prep time.
Mhm.
And that's gonna happen. I mean, if it's gonna happen, it's gotta happen soon.
Correct. Because technically, quote unquote, it'd be like tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys have 24 hours
Pretty much.
to do your last stuff and change your spells out if it need be.
I think Victor's doing everything he can do. I think Vorn's not exactly done either. Vorn did ask, or at least brought it up to Minerva. It's like you're the most righteous, quote unquote, of a religious of us all. What do you know about gods or demigods or whatever? And I don't think he's done having a conversation with her because I think it was kind of short and not specific. But if anybody can talk to a deity, or get some information, I'm assuming it's still her,
Mhm.
and I don't think that door is closed yet. But
True.
but I mean that's kind of where we are, right? Like, oh, well, we went back in after we debated for a little bit longer. Um, but I think it's been healthy debates and healthy discussions. Even if tempers flare up or whatever, I I don't necessarily think either side is calling the other like foolish or whatever. Um, but I'm also glad that it's not 100% one-sided, you know, because that can lead to like a quick death.
Mhm.
But we went back into the captain's, into the pirate lord's hall, and I guess we basically just agreed, right? We they asked what the plan was. They actually, one thing that was cool that I didn't mention was the fact that they addressed us. Um, and I think that Victor appreciated that as well, because if we're in this, then we should be part of it.
Mhm.
And I think that was something that the pirate lords mentioning or bringing up, like, what are your thoughts on this? And like, was shocking to me, to be honest. But I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was, the Dragonborn.
Hmm.
He it's weird because if you were to look at him I should explain more. If you looked at him, you wouldn't have thought he was a pirate lord. He looks like somebody who should be in a magic school, because he pulled out his book and we also did talk about demigods, over the table and the
Hmm.
gods and how that affects or how they got their powers and kind of stuff. Um, but he was the one that kind of like, oh, I see what you guys want to do. You destroyed it, then or destroy as many of quote unquote followers that this demigod, because it's almost like they now see what the plan is without really going into much depth. Because if this is a demigod and he wants to rule the world per se, causing fear, which will cause people to worship because, if you're in fear, you definitely want to please the person that you don't want to be fear into or anything.
Yeah,
So that causes worship. And no telling how many of these red hands he has. And if you could destroy many as you can, that's a lot of worshipers going down the drain kind of thing.
I think we just need a demigod of our own, and I think it needs to be Victor. I'm kidding.
That takes like hundreds and
Yeah.
hundreds of years.
Um, but yeah, no, it was kind of cool that they spoke out and asked us what we thought, and that they also were looking for a better understanding of what the plan was. Because if there's one thing that pirates are selfish. Um, and I think a lot of them would have to think, well, this is either going to benefit me in one way or another. Um, and I think the idea of using each other is almost more of like more tempting than um basically going by themselves to fight the red hand, like, so I don't think it's about working together, it's about using each other. you know
Mhm.
which is kind of cool. Don't forget about the damn captain and the voodoo queen throwing all that shade. Oh, I was like, oh, we're about to die. As soon as the captain was like, you all fear me, I was like, oh, fucking, like, who goes into a conversation and says something like that? We're gonna die.
Hey, she did it for a reason, so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And what do you mean the Voodoo Queen threw some shade? What'd she do?
What did the
She hardly talked.
uh, I just remember the captain. um,
Yeah, I knew. Calling the vampire? How come I don't remember this?
I don't remember, but you can
Yeah.
explain. She
Yeah,
says
I don't
something
know.
about the vampire.
Not that I know of. I know that she stepped forward and showed him a card. And that's when they kind of all went, oh, kind of thing. I don't remember her. I don't think I did. I don't
We'll
think
have
the
to
Voodoo
go
Queen did.
back and watch the VOD. But yeah, so now I guess the whole thing is we agreed that we're going to be doing this. We agreed when, and it's a matter of preparation now. The
Mhm.
the all the pirate lords, I guess, will gather their fleet, individual fleets, and see what the hell we do. Our mission is simple, right? Keep the captain alive. Um, Although that's easier said than done, but it's not like it's like something complicated that we have to come up with, but we'll see. Things are gonna get interesting.
It is. It'll be fine. You guys be fine.
Yeah, I guess we'll just throw the positive book at them.
It's all the dice, though.
It is, yeah.
So see
We'll
what
see
who
how
rolls
the
what.
dice roll. Yep. And let's see if I have a hellish rebuke as good as the one that almost killed Victor.
Oh man. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I think that pretty much kind of covers it. Did we miss something like?
No, I don't think so. I think everything, eventually everybody went back to ship. You guys had your small conversation. I know everybody was checking out like the ship and looking around to like basically like if there was hidey holes or
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like Nyx was like, "Oh, ship, you're too perfect," and then next thing you know, there's a little gap. So
Yeah, like
you know,
OOC, I was like, I think you just have to ask.
hmm
And yeah, and then the ship kind of did it anyway. But I so Sin, you say if the captain goes down, we're fucked. I was so worried about that, and Vorin spoke out about the sword. You know, like what happens if you fall and then that thing gets into the wrong hands. So I'm glad that she was like, well, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't exactly work. Um, because I'm like, can you imagine a demigod that's trying to get all powerful with something that can destroy all demigods, something like fucking like the God of War. like
yeah. Oh yeah,
it,
no. She already had her thoughts. It's bound to her. If she goes down, the item is destroyed.
yeah.
So
We're gonna have to convince the ship that if Captain goes down, it needs to teleport out. Like we need to get the fuck
it.
out.
She did say trust the ship. So
She did, yeah, yeah. But I think this
I
is all
mean,
stuff that we have to discuss in game.
yep, exactly. So everybody
Because
is
yeah.
preparing.
Yeah, we need to prepare internally, externally. Um because we know damn well, like let's be honest, we know the pirates are going to do whatever the fuck it takes to stay alive, whether
hmm
it's helping us or not at the end of the day. um would just piss off all the other demigods. I mean, yeah. I mean, who knows, maybe that's why they're after her. Huge target on her head if they found out. Maybe.
I mean, and the one thing is, I mean, in the Pantheon, I think there's 2 demigods that are in there, and that's one of the or technically 3. Uh, it's what did I say? The king, queen of of thieves is demigods. And then you have Camilla, which she is technically a demigod of the Strigoi, which they're an offshoot vampires, which she calls herself Queen of Vampires, which the true vampires are disgusted on that. Like, no, don't ever say that. So she is like technically the second demigod. I don't think I have another demigod in there, but you know, who knows how many others are out there. Oh, I lied. There is the Queen of Winter. She is a demigod.
Yeah, I
So
guess we shall
so you
see.
guys will know 4. Yeah.
I think it's time to pray. It's basically what it all comes down to. Fucking pray. Voren's like, I don't know. How does one pray?
I mean, you met them. You met
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
some peoples.
I mean, I will say that he's been a lot more open to the idea of religion and stuff like that because of all the things that he's seen recently.
Mhm.
Although, I mean, from a younger age too, with the guild, he's seen signs, but just kind of stayed away from it. But yeah, I think that kind of put your hands together and then kiss your ass goodbye.
What do you mean?
No. Okay, so we have to stay positive, Sin. What's going to happen is that the captain might die. We get to keep the ship. Yeah, Victor becomes captain, Victor not. And then we start taking over different pirate lords, territory. And this is actually a villain campaign all along.
Oh man.
I've always wanted to do like a villain campaign. I don't know why. Just be like complete assholes the whole time.
That was one of my plans to do. Maybe down the line.
Yeah, that could be fun. Oh my god, we help the demigod. That's one way to stay alive. Wait. I'm on your side. Oh man. See, I can't let sin influence me.
Right?
Well, anything else to add? Anything else that we may have missed? Sin, do you think we missed anything? I'm very excited for next week and the weeks to follow because I think that this isn't just going to be a one session thing. Whatever happens next session is definitely going to have a ripple effect for the next couple of weeks. We're going to have to deal with a lot of shit. And you might meet one of my new characters. So,
what are you talking about?
I'm going to gain the power of spite. Do it.
Oh yeah, that's funny because Celeste gave Minerva a scroll of just in case.
I know, like we're gonna get like revivified. I don't know, be like, God damn it! I wanted to say I told you so. Now I'm alive again.
Yeah, I think you guys have 3 healers, so
Yeah, it's
and who knows what else happens.
I
That's what the elves have thought.
I just wanted to die and then haunt Euphemia for the rest of my days. Like just become a companion.
Yeah, I'll say this like right now. For if your character does die, it will be whatever level it is now. So yes, it will be a level 4 if you die, or you could die at level 10,
Oh,
and then
okay.
be a level 10 character. Yeah, I'm not gonna have you guys be level 1. That's ridiculous.
That would be really hard for you to manage in the campaign anyway.
Yeah, because I'll forget, and then one shot. Oh, you got bitten by a baby bear.
Yeah, and then that one person just keeps re-rolling because everybody else is level 12.
Right? Oh, no. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for hanging out. This was a good recap. I knew that we can get it done 2 episodes in one. They kind of went
Yeah.
hand in hand. They could potentially be other members of the dream. Yeah, that's kind of true.
Mhm.
Since we
You never
don't
know.
actually know.
Mhm.
But Light, thank you for hanging out and thank you for the recap.
Of
And
course.
everyone, our sessions are on Sunday, 6:30 EST. And on Mondays, we do our recaps, even though we skipped last week, but we made it up for this week.
Mhm.
So you can get caught up with all of our stuff either by watching the VODs for the actual sessions or watching the recaps, which would be a lot faster. Let's go. Next session today. No, I'm kidding. Have a good one, y'all. Thanks for hanging out.
Have a good one. Adios. Bye.
Bye.